Got some chairs up here. They're trying to be hiding in the back. Oh, sorry.
I tried to give us something to hold it up.
All right. Calling to order the November 2nd, 2021 meeting of the Lake St. Charles CBD Board of Supervisors General Meeting. Welcome. It's wonderful to see you, residents. We'll start off with a pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you join us in the invocation? Father, we come to you with much gratitude for all the many blessings, the wisdom, as we make decisions for this wonderful community. Amen. Amen. So we'll introduce ourselves to you. Yeah, you can't sneak. Marlon, you would start, please.
Marlon Brownlee, Hampton. Rob Bannon, Remington.
Ingrid. Sabrina Peacock, Lexington.
Adriana Urbina, District Manager.
Mark Cooper, Property Manager, Lakeside.
Louis Martinez, Facility Monitor.
Dave Nelson via Zoom.
Okay, so what we'd like to do is have each of you introduce yourself and let me know if you're going to want to have your 3 minutes for public comment. Otherwise, if you're just here to be a part of the meeting, that's certainly fine too. So,
Rich Canistro, and I would like to.
okay.
Lisa Harmon, I made 3 minutes.
All right.
Zach Green, I'm the assistant.
Thank you, Sarah.
And Lisa Freedom, we're new PIS here as well to support Robert.
Okay.
Barbara Kirby from Portland, and I like
Okay,
Sharon Gresham from Stratford. I like you.
Bar, Missouri. Bell, Missouri.
Marcel and Lakeside.
Eric Picard, I'll live Lexington.
Sarah Park, this is
okay, thank you.
it's under the Falcon and just selected.
Good, thank you.
What else did I stand for?
Teresa Dunn with Paxton Charleston.
Rich Knox, Cameron.
All right, thank you. Well, we're so glad you're here.
I would like to.
I'm sorry,
I'm sorry, I'm a late comer.
You're good.
I'm telling you, I would like to speak as well.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll just kind of sweep through. I am going to keep time because I know sometimes it's easy to get going. But we definitely want to make sure your questions and concerns are heard. We may not be able to completely address them at this meeting, but we want to let you know that we are here to take this input. It's very, very important to the board. Rich, if you'd like to start.
Yeah, I've been here for a little while, so really I'm not gonna take a full 3 minutes and just like to ask one question. Is it on the agenda not to repair and replace the trail?
Yes.
And is it next year, year after, what are we looking at? This is really, really bad.
Because of the scope of the trail, how big it is and how expensive it is, we are looking at a multi-year project with the first phase of the worst of it starting this next year.
And is
Highest priority.
Right, and is that the sections that are the worst are
Yes.
going to be replaced first? Is that the way we're
Yes.
going to do it? So is there a plan to do it right? Dig it out, re-level, whatever it takes each section, or are we just gonna repair?
No, we haven't settled on exactly, but we're looking at most likely going with a concrete option where the existing trail would become the base layer. There would be a root barrier, root cutting done. Mark may want to expand on that. And then treated concrete on top of that so that it doesn't have that crumbling characteristic that we've suffered with at this point.
That's really all we're at.
Okay, all right.
And she said this year.
Yes, this coming, yeah,
After January.
all right. Yeah.
It's budgeted.
Yes,
Excellent.
yes. We are looking at the possibility of borrowing funds and doing it all as a single project and then paying it off if we can find something that would be a low enough interest rate that would offset projected increases in materials and labor to do that, to get it all done at once. But it's of all of our projects, and 2 weeks from tonight at 6 o'clock, we're going to have another workshop where we are discussing all of our capital improvement projects for the next 5 to 7 years. What can we afford to do is basically the bottom line. And do we need to look at other ways of funding these projects? Always looking at making sure that the amenities that we have are kept up. And we know a lot of things had been deferred because for the last 20 years, we've been paying off the bond.
Right.
And so unfortunately, now things are at a real critical level, and the trail being the most widely used amenity is at the top of our priority list.
Everything else looks beautiful. You guys have done an outstanding job of putting things together, and I know that you've put in long, hard hours yourselves. So I really appreciate that. It's just, as you just stated, it is probably the most used item here. It should be the one that I feel is addressed.
And this is so important. We need to know what your priorities are because, you know, I don't have children here,
Yeah.
but many families do. So that's why it's so important that you're giving us this feedback. Lisa, did you want to
I'm
add?
gonna defer because I want to hear what Barbara has to say.
Okay,
So after her.
okay, and then would you like to go?
Sure, is the bond paid off?
Yes, it is.
And was there gonna be a discussion between all residents if we want to lower the CBD fee?
No, that won't be a community discussion. What we're looking at there are two components to how we run the CBD. There's operations and maintenance, which is, you know, mowing the yard, the common areas, taking care of the pool, taking care of the amenities. Then there's also the part of replacement and enhancement of our amenities. That's what we call CIP. When we project out what needs to be done to keep things in good repair, the brick walls, the pool when it needs to be resurfaced, we need a new roof for the clubhouse. We are not in a position to reduce the fees because the monies that we're going towards the bond payments are now more than fully allocated to CIP needs to keep this community in the shape that it needs to be in. But again, if you want to come to the workshop, it'll be 6 o'clock here on the 16th. That's when the board will be really delving into the plan for capital projects for the next 5 to 7 years.
I was told that we could reduce about what we're paying for the bond.
Well, you wouldn't. Unfortunately, there were folks who gave incorrect information. And
Okay, the other thing I wanted to bring up was, she was asking me what other projects, because I noticed there were a lot of people had interest in adding to the tennis courts. I wanted to bring up the fact that the little pet areas, the park areas, the two are in desperate need of attention.
this is the dog park.
The dog
Yeah.
park
Mhm.
area, there's two sections, one for a large dog and one for a small.
Mhm.
Because the gate on the dog section where you enter has been broken for I don't know how long, cannot close it.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you for bringing that to our attention. Dog parks are on the CIP plan. As far as when that gets addressed, it's all going to be a matter of shifting our priority so that we could take the money that we do have and get the most impact for that. So thank you for that.
Can I just say that one of the residents, I don't know who it was, someone took up their landscaping, the big, huge concrete landscaping, and dumped it over in the preserve. Does the whole maintenance pick that up? or-
No. Do you know who did it?
I saw somebody was doing something, and by the time I got over there, I they were gone.
And what part of the preserve are you?
Right there at Bishop's Point, there, Bishop Point Street's here, there's a dog pet waste station right here. If you go down to the second, there's like 2 tall trees next to the street. You look behind that tree, they dumped it right there in the preserve.
Okay, we'll look into
The
it.
red landscape borders.
And just to help you understand, we build a budget and then people do stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's going to be hundreds of dollars to be able to get rid of, but we will look into that and figure out what needs to be done. Okay, thank you for that. Please, Barbara?
So I'm Barbara Kirby, and many of you are here tonight to support the tennis backboard for the tennis courts. First, I want to commend the Lake St. Charles property manager, Mark, and the board for the beautiful projects that you do. The playground is beautiful and the little parking lot. So thank you so much for all the detail and all that. Which brings us to what you call my special interest, and the interest of many of the folks that are here tonight and came to give up their time to attend this meeting. The addition of a tennis backboard to the tennis courts. So I brought up the idea of a tennis backboard about 10 years ago, turned over quotes and information, then life happened. And now 10 years later, I'm hoping that Lake St. Charles can have a tennis backboard installed. When I spoke with y'all at a meeting over the summer, it sounded like others have also brought up the idea over the years. And at that summer meeting, you all agreed, okay, well, Mark agreed that it was a good idea. And in talking with Mark, he's got all the information about the quotes and the dimensions and what modifications would need to be made. But just that it required the support from the community to show that it was a special interest, not just of one member, but of many members of the community. I didn't find any procedures or protocol in Lake St. Charles site as to how to go about this to be considered, and including the numbers that I would need to bring to get this idea passed. But here today, have at least like 15 folks, maybe on Zoom and all here. Raise your hand, maybe if you're talking about this that I've asked you to. Thank you. These 15 or so people are folks that I spoke to. I put out a sign for 2 days and got a few people. And then one of my neighbors put it up on Facebook for about 5 days. And just within a short time, we have, this many people here that are interested in it. Turn the page, sorry about that. Okay. So the search for additional support of a tennis backboard was expanded. So like if a board member posted it, I know you can narrow it down to like next door, just to Lake St. Charles, or Lake St. Charles had an app, for classifieds. Like we used to have a bulletin that went to everybody's house. I think you would get a lot more people responding, like maybe 10 times this compared to just the 2 5 days that I had to work with. With that being said, why should Lake St. Charles invest the money in tennis backboard? So basketball, you can play by yourself, or you're there and you're shooting baskets and you can pick up other people, right? The pool, you can swim by yourself. But tennis, you need someone to play with. And if there were a backboard, I could hit by myself, or maybe other people would be there, and that would get a lot more people to come to this very underutilized amenity. So when I go by there on my bike, there's not really anyone out there. And the weather's been warm, but now it's cooling down. But still, if you had something like that, I think you get more people there. And once you get more people there, they can talk to each other, and then you can get people playing and stuff and utilizing that resource. Where to put it? I think it should go in the center, because if you have, there's one tennis court and then 2 pickleball courts. And so like a family could be playing on the tennis court, and then a family member could be hitting on the backboard, and that still leaves the pickleball court. So let's see, that's about it.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank everyone.
Just to let you know, and we had not forgotten, because you had brought this up, as you said, this summer, we do have it on our CIP. We have some initial quotes. And again, 2 weeks from now, we're going to be shuffling these things around, because we know how much money we have. Sorry, Dave. And we have to spread that out with, the trail, with the dog parks, with the, everything. So it is there. This is very valuable. That we know that this has become a higher priority with the community, and your voices are definitely being heard. So we will use this as part of our conversation in 2 weeks, as we start to kind of take our priorities and our dollars and try to make them match. Absolutely. Thank you. Yes.
Yes, my name is Sharon Grish, and I'm Sharon Stratton. I'm here about repairing a kayak launch. I
Oh.
know you used to have one.
Yes.
Right now, it's just a
Yes.
rusted out bank.
We do have that again on the CIP. For those who don't know, we have a very rudimentary launch.
Well, the CIP is
Yes.
pretty comprehensive.
Yes, I'm just saying, I'm letting them know that it is on our list. We are looking at ways to get that back into a more improved.
Yes, we've got usable access.
Yeah.
Now it's can access.
Well, it's,
Except for the like press conference.
right, yeah, it's on the plan.
What's the
Okay.
question again?
The boat launch, the ramp. So just to let you know, we are looking at costs. We're looking at, right now, I think there's just one boat that has a need for using that. Everybody else is either here or it's used by our vendors who come in and treat the lake. So it is on the plan and we are looking at it as one of our
I think
priorities.
we find that we have a lot more people with kayaks who would have access that one.
Okay, yeah,
At one point, we considered renting or like using them here to make water accessible to the residents. So you didn't have to lug them there across the mountains.
we're not going there. Okay, sorry.
I ran it for maybe.
Yes, so it is on the plan. It'll be under discussion in 2 weeks. Okay, so thank you for that input though. Hey, was there somebody else in the back row who also wanted 3 minutes? We're good? Thank you.
Tennis backboard related.
Yep.
I'm gonna defer my 3 minutes to my better half.
Oh,
Yes, I am. Where is it in the rules?
The only thing that I'd like to mention is there is the re-fencing of the tennis court included in that backboard thing?
It's not included, but it's a separate line item.
It is, yes, a separate item. And to be totally honest and blunt,
No, that's fine.
we're really on this balancing act of what is acceptable, what's working. We have a fence that works.
Right.
Versus how do we make it this gorgeous, really cool fence? What has to give for us to get the really fancy version? So those are the things that we have all these conflicting, or we have more priorities than we have dollars. And so part of the conversation is going to be, do we need to look at our assessment and are we collecting enough to meet our community's needs?
So with that, I'll go to that lady and say, we're collecting enough. We need to work within our budget. So I'm going to pull out the older gentleman who used to be here to put the brakes on a little bit. Jim, yes. And I am going to say that those are the types of things. The backboard is important to this lady. The fence is still workable.
Right.
So we would like to say that that's why we kind of wanted to wait. We'd like to make sure that that backboard might be a priority. My concern is please don't disrupt our view as a community and put it more in the corner, back towards the back. She wants maybe the middle court. My suggestion would be the other court because we have 2 pickleball courts.
Mhm. Okay, well, what we will probably do then is if we move forward, and depending on when we move forward with a backboard, we will push a notice out on the app asking for feedback. And it will be basically, you vote for what you want, because I don't care where it is.
Right.
But it's important to the tennis players that it ends up in the right place. So we'll do that to make it as democratic a process as possible. But just again, so you know, the dollars that we are currently collecting for the CDD assessments will not cover all of our wishes.
They don't cover all of our wishes, but we have to get creative as to the way we move forward.
There's, I understand what you're saying, but here's the bottom line. Everything is extremely high.
Yes, oh, I get it.
And the trail is gonna be over 500 something thousand dollars. $650. So I'm sitting here and telling you, if it comes down to me, we are going to have to raise the assessment somewhat in order to keep this community where you want it. If not, then you're gonna have to come up with no backboard and all these little things.
And I'll, and
Because the trail-
no roof, then I like the blue roof.
Exactly.
It has holes in it, though.
The roof has to be replaced.
It's not a cosmetic thing.
I mean, if your house had a damaged roof, would you replace it?
Rob, we understand that.
I know it's gonna make a lot of people upset, But the way the world is going right now, the prices of everything has doubled.
I get all that. I totally get all that. You just have to be able to sometimes say, and
We're not making it. We're not making it. I look at it every day. I look at it, I look at.
and maybe I need to take a deeper look.
You do.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
people need to come to the meeting.
Well, 2 weeks.
Okay,
Before we have the
Jenny,
big one.
Marlon.
Just one number he quoted there, just to kind of illustrate, I think at the top level, what we're talking about. Would you say that the trail was gonna be?
650.
between them.
650. So how much money do we have to spend on all of our capital improvements?
We had to stay
Usually
under
about
300.
300.
About 300,000. So in a year, given the current assessment level, we have $300,000 a year to spend. The trail by itself,
It's 2 years.
we're talking about 600,000. So I'm just giving you it helps to sometimes juxtapose a couple of numbers together to kind of understand, because then that's before we're talking about any of the tennis courts, any of the other amenities we're talking about, but just talking the trail, that's $600,000. We wouldn't be able to do that all in one shot.
And I understand that because I am a finance guy.
Yep.
So when Sabrina talks about looking at alternative ways to finance,
Yep.
we're in a low interest rate environment.
Yep.
Yes, cost of materials are high.
Yep.
My significant other is a real estate agent. I realize the difference in between. So what I'm saying, Rob, and this is not a step down, this is, we've got a very creative person with Mark. I mean, in all of this, we can get those things done without raising our base rate by financing some of this stuff that we may not have thought.
We will,
That's all I'm
yeah,
saying.
please know that you will probably never find a more conservative, by fiscally conservative board than you have. We are just, we're just
totally
bringing
believe
out those rocks. But do know that Lake St. Charles probably has the lowest CDD rate of any similar community in Hillsborough County.
Chairman, and it hasn't been raised in like 14 years.
2004, we.
So
had
if you
not
look
raised
at the cost of goods and services as they have changed over the last 14 years, you can only stretch a dollar so far. And this is not the topic that any of us want to be talking about, but we have a responsibility to this community that if we can't maintain, to let the roof go to where there's structural damage, to ignore the pool when it's ready to be resurfaced, to say, heck, you just, jump over the broken parts of the trail because we can't afford to fix it. We're not willing to say that, but we're going to try to find that balance and really to make those decisions that are in the best interest of the community. And some of it is, how are we going to finance it?
Some of those larger capital improvements can be financed.
Yes, but it's all about rates. So, we have to make sure that we can get a rate that makes sense over the long term.
In addition, many of you lived through the Midge crisis, if you will, and that was a huge issue for property values and for comfort of people and for what people considered their safety, breathing them in. And that was a big deal for us to approach. Now we're also looking at the health of the lake with some grant money that we, thanks to Mark, were able to work with. But again, you get reimbursed after you spend money. So again, we don't have the money right in our hands, but we have been trying to be creative. And we did forego midge treatment. My husband said, oh my gosh, there were so many midges this weekend. Yeah. And we're balancing that. We thought, well, one midge treatment we can forgo so we can do the implementation. So these are the things we have to deal with.
Barbara?
I had a question. Was the playground a grant?
No.
Okay, so we put in all these expensive, wonderful things for the kids, that huge rope thing and the zip line and stuff. And, you could have put in less and then you'd have more for other special interests. And so we don't need maybe the extra special fence for the backboard. We can cut some costs there. And then they're like 2,500 or something. I'm not sure, maybe 5,000 for the backboard or something.
Yeah, we've got a number about 9,500. So.
Because when I gave you a quote all those years ago, it was like 3,000 or something. You don't have to have.
Everything was.
All right, well, folks, I know this is going to go on and on. Please come on the 16th, 6 o'clock here. We have spreadsheets. We've got homework for the next 2 weeks to synthesize every board member's input to the existing CIP. And then we have emergencies. We have things that happen where we'll have a plan. We'll expect to be investing in one thing, something else is going to become more urgent. So the CIP is not cast in stone, but it gives us that plan over a number of years. And, we'll take your input and we'll do our very best to figure out how can we meet all of our community's needs with whatever dollars we can make available for those needs.
As we're looking at these numbers, I pulled the numbers from last month's meeting. Which numbers, I haven't looked at this one.
Okay, those are
Can I
all,
look at?
that's operational dollars, and I think that's the operating and that's the other part. If you look at operations and management, you have to figure that number is going to escalate as well. We've got salaries that are increasing because of minimum wage. We have fuel costs that are increasing. We have utility costs are increasing. So the piece of the pie available for CIP is getting smaller without us doing anything.
Right.
And so I don't think you have in front of you the CIP budget. The O&M. Yeah, that you just have our fiscal year, our operating budget. So that's 2/3 of our budget. The other third is CIP.
Can we look at that ahead of time before the 16th?
Yeah, you can kind of see what we have mapped out, but understand all of that is under discussion, and that's what we're going to be doing on the 16th.
So each supervisor took this spreadsheet and did our own prioritization, and we're gonna hash it out.
And it's what, 7 pages of projects,
That we can imagine.
and we map that over.
If you want to meet, Lisa, I'll meet with you and we can go over it.
It's not, and what I want to just caution
This
is
is not a final.
these are all working copies. We've got 5 copies up here with each of us having made adjustments of what we all think are priorities and what can be deferred and what's more critical. And so all of that's going to be coming together on the 16th. Okay, so please come. Really, we want you there. And if you can't, contact a board member and bring your concerns, and we'll bring that into that conversation, because we're here for you. We're not doing this just for us.
And I'm not saying you're being fiscally irresponsible, and I know you may need more money and it may have to come, but I'm just gonna stand on the side that says I'm gonna fight like a dog.
So will
Just to
I.
make sure
Yeah.
that we use the access to our funds, not just the funds that we have, but access to our funds. We had a bond that went forever. We're doing everything in cash and I love it, but the time we've just come through might be in the aspects with everything coming to fruition that needs to be done. We may need to extend something 7 or 8 years at 3 to 5 or 800,000 or $1 million or whatever, so that we can make it work and still work within our CIP. Have a moderate increase, because those basic expenses are going up, cost of raw materials are going up. I see that.
Yeah, we did actually even explore the idea of a new bond. And it just turns out we didn't need that kind of money, and we didn't want to get into that kind of a commitment. Did you need something you need to say?
No, we would appreciate your input when we have the meeting.
Yeah, definitely expertise is more than welcome. Yes.
Chairman?
Wait, hang on just a second, Dave.
Can we get our hands on the spreadsheets you guys are looking at?
We can post it on.
Yes, we'll post it on the website, but please understand that what
It's a
you're
work in
looking at,
progress.
we've already, each one of the 5 of us have crossed through and arrowed and moved, and so
I
it's.
just want to mentally be able to do the same for the
Mhm.
16th.
Okay, we'll put up on the website what's existing now, so you can kind of see how many projects, what kind of dollars we're expecting, and then in what fiscal year we were kind of projecting out where that would occur. We can do that, because it is a lot to absorb.
A lot of the costs are guesstimates.
Yes.
I
Because
totally
I
understand.
got bids from 2 years ago that are so far off now, 2 years later.
I work in construction.
They're irrelevant.
Chairman, can you hear me?
Hang on, okay, Dave, yes, Dave.
Yeah. Well, I just want them to know that I don't think any other board is against having a backboard for the tennis. We need to figure out, where it can fit in the budget. I mean, can you hear me?
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, loud and clear.
Yeah. So, I mean, just for instance, there's stuff that I see on the CIP that like there could be an entrance camera. There may be something that was an estimate given that, that it says that we need that. I may not, or two other board members may not agree with that. We need to spend it on that. And then maybe we may feel that it would be better spent on the backboard for the tennis court. So I don't think any of us are against it. So other than there's only been 3 or 4 people in the last 4 years that have asked me about a backboard on the tennis court. So I did have a resident call me today that couldn't be here, and he voiced his opinion that he'd like to have one as well. So I'm sure we'll look at it and try to figure out a way to whatever we can afford to do it right.
Okay, so thank you for all the input. It's very valuable, and I feel rushed, but we need to keep moving forward. So we're going to move
to approve the consent agenda.
Okay,
So,
okay, all in favor of approving the consent agenda?
Aye.
Sorry, just for this stuff. Okay, we have Joe here.
I don't know whether you see the plans.
no, that's your job.
And there's money, but
No, that's your job. We know you're.
I'm tapped out.
Oh, so you're not giving me yours?
No.
But seriously, there's money for everything from all kinds of work.
It's not the one that you also work on. Put hours on it.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna give the floor to you. It's your time, at the beginning of the meeting, this is treasurer meeting, these are ASI, and they do our landscape maintenance.
And I brought Louis something, I was the first manager who oversees this project. I'm here to ask for an increase. No, just kidding. Everybody sees the between mood right now. And I won't get in the way of the forward on this. I really just wanted to address you guys and say thank you. We went through some tough times this summer, and this is more for you, the board. Had some personnel issues. We had climate issues with all rain and everything else. And just want to thank you for being partners, true partners. And I know there was grumblings of, wanting to go out for bid and all that. Totally get it, understand it. But we're just, here to say thank you for being a partner with us. And maybe answer any questions or concerns that maybe still are out there. Mark has been great for the last 2 months, Mark, we've been working together, especially Louis.
As much time as I can.
Yeah, and getting back on track, we feel we're there. So just want to continue down that path and just come say thank you. I talked to Mark, I was out here the last couple of weeks, and I said, Mark, would you mind if I came to a board meeting and just kind of address the board? I didn't realize it was a board meeting, I just thought it was a board. But just wanted to come address it and say, thanks for being partners with us. There's not a lot of clients that are like that.
Joe, I would like to have some feedback from you. I think you knew what Mark was going into as far as not being able to be a site supervisor. I think you were kind of kept out of the loop for a while when things started to get really bad out here. What's going to be different moving forward so that we have the appropriate supervision, that the folks doing the cutting and the sawing and whatever they're doing are trained enough to do what's right, that things like pre-emergence or other interventions can be utilized that make it more efficient and effective, because we cannot go into another situation like we did. And we understand the whole world was on its ear, but we can't do that to our community. They're paying a lot of money.
Absolutely.
And you can tell that they expect it to be spent well.
So short-term answer, it's already fixed. It's working that way. Season moved in, off season for us, and now we have plenty of personnel. We didn't lay anybody off. We just have the right personnel for our properties. Long-term, and I don't want to get real deep into it, but in a nutshell, ASI as a whole is evaluating how we will work next spring and summer going forward from the standpoint of whether we overhire to have enough personnel, or we start, well, one thing we've already done, just got me back up, short term, we're not bidding, and we're not bidding as a whole, as a company, a lot of work anymore. Very happy with our portfolio. We're in kind of a replace mode. If we lose something, we'll replace it. The other piece is that we're not gonna bid on any work that, I'm just gonna give you some examples, like, if I can come to Lake St. Charles and work here for the day, I'm not gonna go work 3 apartment complexes. There's just little things like that we're making adjustments to county without going into a rabbit hole. So that's short term. I'm sorry, that was something that's already happened. Long term, that's what we're looking at. We're gonna evaluate our portfolio and our staff to, I guess for a better lack of words, next spring before we get into summer and go, okay, what do we have the manpower to do? Who would I, and if we have to let go of properties, we're gonna let go of properties. Great news for you guys, you're a long-term, that's why I'm here thanking you for being a partner. That won't happen to you, you're down the street. Geographically, you're great for us. That's the kind of things we're gonna look at. Again, without going into a rabbit hole, how we're gonna evaluate our portfolios and our properties. So that's, I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, and is there a site supervisor here who is actually physically on site when your crews are here?
I don't know if you've seen any of the service reports. That's our site supervisor. That's Robert Bobby. He comes here with the service team, goes over all the punch list items, and then after our service visits, he does a thorough inspection of that work and provides a report to Mark every week.
Okay, and so was he not working on the
He was
project?
stretched. He was stretched.
Okay.
Bottom line, he was stretched.
Because I think some folks who
Yeah.
live off of preserve areas, you
Just,
know that
just you
stuff
know,
wasn't getting mowed.
there was days, Bobby is a production manager. He has a pickup truck, he goes home with it, he comes to work, he manages 2-3 crews a day. There was days when Bobby was on a truck taking a crew out because we were so short. That's just what it was. Then Lewis was trying to backfill, coming out here. It's just, it was a mess. I'm not gonna beat around the bush about it. It is what it is. I know that was told to you guys at some meetings and stuff like that. And I wasn't privy to those, but I did kind of know what's going on behind the scenes, but it was just, we're covered up. No excuse, not trying to make any, not sitting here trying to lie to you.
I think the important piece is we learn from, right, and we know we can do better. We've identified a lot of our client base that are true partners, and those are the clients that we're really going to focus on and give them the top service we can get. So,
Man, those letters felt good to send and tell them we're done.
Well, we do appreciate the catch-up work that you've done, because that it should never have gotten to that point, but we're glad that.
No, absolutely, and we made a promise to Mark that we would not let this happen, that you guys have been way too good to us for too long. We really had to identify properties, and we did send letters to some already, and there's gonna be more. If we don't get the right staff going into next spring, there's gonna be more. I heard somebody say they're in construction. It's horrible. We know it. Yeah. By the way, we're not doing construction work. We are on our last job by contract. We are done doing that. We're gonna bring that workforce into the maintenance side. We're done with it. Yeah.
So recently, your activities got reported to the EBC.
Mhm.
And that basic question, does your staff know better than to do what they do?
I'm gonna say this.
Part of the training issue.
I'm gonna say this, I believe where it is. We were guided on certain things, and that staff member took it a little different. We'll tell you that, we were guided on other areas that was okay. And I'm gonna leave it at that, because that staff member got addressed, like, what are you doing? Did some homework and something. It won't happen again, I promise you that, because by the way, I had to pay for them to come out and get the shit out. It just too funny. And I wasn't happy about it. So,
Yeah.
I have a question for you guys. Do you guys also handle those sprinkler systems?
Yeah.
Is there a way we could, because I walk my dog a lot, I'm seeing all the broken sprinklers, not your fault, I don't know who's breaking them. Is there a way, like, I don't know, set up like an email address that we could say, hey, there's a broken sprinkler here?
So
But instead of bothering, because you're running 8,000 directions and you're not gonna go fix
we
it.
don't do the
Not your
repairs.
fault.
no, as of right now,
We don't do the
all we
repair.
provide
We
is-
do it once a month,
we do a monthly
full
inspection.
inspection and a repair, usually the last week of every month.
I just didn't know if there was like a quick way, an email address, a text or something where the community.
Property manager.
Yeah, I think just to Mark, property manager.
I think sheriff works better,
Yeah.
because people's descriptions are all over the place, so it's gotta be very specific.
And
I'm looking for one hand out of thousands all over the place.
So a couple suggestions on that, and this might be working with the budget, however, but we have helped Mark before. Hey, Joe, and he'll approve us to do some just to get ahead. You know, we're willing to work with you and we do this on some of our larger sites, because here, obviously, irrigation heads broken and get out of control quick. We do a a system where we're on site, we give the report, we go, hey, here's what it is. And if we can get that approved that day while our technician's there, that saves us all some money. Fuel's going up, labor's going up, my guys in windshield driving to the next property, I'd rather leave them right here and do some repairs. So you guys think about that, if it's something you want to throw in the budget, and maybe throw $1 an hour, we're willing to do that. We do that, we've done that, especially here in the last 6 months. A lot of people have done that because of cutbacks and everything else.
Just, our future contracts, a separate mulch line item, a separate irrigation, if they all do it one.
Oh, good, well, that'll help too.
I mean,
But in the meantime.
it has to, because my staff has extra
Yeah.
duties that they need.
Absolutely. So, and I know you wanted me to bring this up about the blower that you guys were talking about. This will go along those lines. We're willing, as partners, we're willing to buy. I mean, if you've seen our staff out here, they got backpack blowers on and they're walking sidewalks and streets and so forth. And it's not, the streets are not the safest place for them to walk. They got a loud machine on the back, bad things can happen. Mark and I were talking about it and blowing the trail. And he was asking me some questions about different blowers and so forth. I said, you know, Mark, they have a blower that you can attach to a buggy, or their push ones, but there's different models, and I gave him some names to look at. And I just threw the suggestion out, and he thought it'd be good to throw out, and you guys kind of decipher it. But we are willing to purchase that blower to leave on site here. We want to look at the shed, there's a spot to keep it. They could use it for the trail to help out, and we would use it while we're here to do the street. It's a lot safer for my team. It's something that you guys could benefit from as far as the trail goes. So.
All we heard was you're willing to purchase it.
That's my girl.
But, and that was one thing, and we talked about a cart, that's something maybe you guys need to discuss more. That's a big legal thing. Maybe he talked about a better, different cart, maybe use part two, but that's a big purchase, and then who owns it, who does the repairs, there's a lot to that. The blower is very simple. It's more than a backpack blower for sure, but I'm willing to purchase it because it would help us tremendously on the streets, which would give us more time to do other tasks. So,
Roughly how much would that cost?
Do we have space right now to put it, store it here?
Yes, we
It's
do.
on the side, you're talking about pull behind, right?
yeah, we'll leave it. Yeah, we'll leave it right. We looked at the tray. We looked inside the shed back there. And
Because for us, it would have to be full. We don't have-
yeah, no, absolutely. I can shoot you some different prices. I know I gave you his name, but I can shoot you that. And we'll get a good price. We use all John Deere and still, so we'll call our vendor. See what we do.
All right, Jenny.
I guess, I'm still smarting a little bit on the feedback we got from residents on how bad the place looked when things were bad. And, you know, we have investigated other companies that seem to have a little bit better communication. What are you doing to improve the communication? If Mark sees something like, we don't want Mark to be the site supervisor for the landscape company. And I need some assurance that you're gonna do that. And
That's part of that production manager piece. That's that report I'm talking about, Bob. It's basically a proactive and active service report. So that report will include what we did for that particular service, and it will also include things that we have planned for the following service. So it's kind of basically just keeping everyone on the same page.
okay, thank you. Part two to my question is the staff and how you train them. And if you lose people, are we gonna have a dedicated group that knows our community and they know where they're supposed to go and where they're not supposed to
I
go?
think we've been very fortunate with that. I would say the heart of that team is still in place. We have basically two from the original crew. The foreman has been here the entire time. That's Apollonia Lopez. So we have two guys on that crew still to this day. Actually, no, it's three on the 5-man crew to this day since year 1 and 2.
So, and go ahead. I'm sorry.
So although we've had turnaround, we still have the core of that crew.
Do you cross train them? Do they know, watering restrictions and that kind of stuff and what?
Bobby does, our production manager knows all of it. Just in the last, well, Mark, you sent an email, I just had to be copied on it from our production manager to Mark. And Mark responded back that the communication has been much better. So, and I'm not trying to downplay that you've talked to other companies. I'm gonna say this, we're all gonna say that. The second piece I want to share, our retention rate, and this is a stat that we look at we measure our retention rate. The way we're better is if we do keep the crews on here and we get better at doing the job, and we get more productive, and those things, that's how we keep prices down. If we're starting to produce the property better, we won't have to ask for increases and stuff like that. But our retention rate has never been better in the history of this company. And I chalk it up to two things: partners, okay, that have stuck with us. We've had many clients for a long time, and this is not a normal ASI. And the other piece is people have gone out and maybe went and asked another property manager, and that property manager goes, listen, I can give you my, we're having the same problems. Everybody's having the same problem. So I don't want to downplay our retention rate, that it's great, we're way up here because we're great. No, a lot of it just has to do with what's going on in the green industry right now. We're getting ahead of it for next year, but it's crazy because you get all these complaints. We had a property that looked as bad as yours, and there's other properties. You're not the only one, and our retention rate was still here. It's just because people were asking around, and other landscape companies weren't able to service and do the things either. People getting service notes saying we can't service your property, we're short people. It was horrible. So I just want to share that.
Okay, we're having to move ahead. I got one comment from the back.
If you talk about corrective actions and processes you put in place, I recommend you come up with ways of measuring those for a staging ratio, see how they're progressing, and if they're not having the benefit expected, come up with a new process.
Right.
We need some way to measure the progress and to show and to measure it and to have some sort of metric of progress.
I'll leave that to you guys, however you want to measure us or whatever you want.
Well, if you're putting new processes, share what those processes are and how you're gonna.
We're not putting new processes, but we're going back to what was working. At the very beginning, when things were great, yeah, there's nothing.
Just some way to measure it.
Gotcha.
Say, yes, we're having the desired effect by.
Control the meeting.
All right, thank you, guys. We appreciate what you're doing and appreciate you. I know, I never have enough time. All right, moving forward, we're going to go to our committee reports. We'll start off with the treasurer. Dave?
Yes. Thank you, everyone. One at a time. Still. Yeah, we recommend, I talked with our district manager, and we recommend waiving policy 3200-3200.7, the allocation of cashback rewards. So we got $2,104.18 back on cash rewards by using our creative methods of purchasing. So thank you very much to the staff for doing that. And it's going to be deposited in the district's checking account for our O&M. So
Okay, do we need a motion?
does that need a motion, Adriana?
Second.
That's my motion.
Okay, so we've got a motion to move the $2,104.18 to our district checking account. Second, any discussion?
So we're just, what's different?
In the past, we moved the rewards into our reserve account,
Oh, okay.
and it just sits there, yeah, and if we move it, it makes it so we can use it this fiscal year.
So again, that's where we're getting money by using our credit card,
And then
cash back,
into
and that goes to O&M. Okay,
Thank
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passes.
And just for your everyone's information, we recommended transferring $35,000 from the district's money market account, which was our reserve account, into the district's checking account, the O&M. It was needed to possibly prevent a cash flow shortage. So, and funds will be transferred back to the money market account once the district receives the assessment distribution from the Hillsborough County tax collector. So that's basically it, unless you have anything else, Adriana.
Now we need a motion.
I'll second it if it is.
Okay, that was a motion, Dave?
Was that a motion, Adriana? Is that required? Yes, it is. It's a motion.
Okay, you get a second.
Seconded.
And just for you've all received your tax assessment bill. Until you pay them, we don't get any money. So that's why there's this little gap at the end of the year.
Town rules about motions.
Yes.
The treasurer can't make a motion, it has to be done by the members. He makes recommendations on us.
Okay.
All right, I make the motion.
Just so you know.
Oh, thank you. So Robert's rules. All right. Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, Don.
Do we need to go back on the previous motion? Okay, we're gonna go back to A.
On the 210418, the first motion, I need a second.
Okay, second. Okay, all in
Okay.
favor?
Aye.
Keep
And
us.
then I made the motion, who was the second on the 35,000?
I was. Oh, no.
Did you second?
She's got it. Yeah, we're good. Okay. Whew, thank you. All right. Anything else, Dave?
Yeah. No, it looks like that's it. You know, we looked at the statements and we confirmed with the bill pay with the bank, South State. So we're good.
Sounds good. Chair Fannin on Grounds and Security Committee.
I'll give my time to Mark when it comes up.
Okay. Then Management Committee just did bills, just to confirm that Lewis has reached out to our towing company to start the towing sweeps from 10:30 p.m. to 5:30 a.m. In the clubhouse parking area, the parking lot, and the cul-de-sac over on the Waterton side. Those areas are not to be parked in during those nighttime hours. So we've kind of rolled our tolling policy out very slowly and strategically so that people aren't surprised, because that's not our goal.
Chairman, Chairman, can I just tell you one thing? When you get
Dave.
Yeah, and just to clarify, to dispel rumors, the CDD is not planning on towing anybody's car from their personal parking driveway because they don't have a sticker on it. So whoever did that and started that rumor, that is incorrect, and I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you, Dave.
And we encourage, anytime you have a concern, come to us first, because the rumor mill is typically not accurate. Rob?
He stole it.
Oh, he stole it. I mean, our contact information is on the app. We're available. Don't suffer in silence, so don't get dragged down a rabbit hole.
I will say this to everybody that's here, to tell, most of us have jumped off of Nextdoor and Facebook and everything. And when people come to us and say, is there any other way? And I was like, I'll listen to them. But the problem is people take everything and say, just like we're gonna all sit down and hash out what we need to hash out, but we're gonna do it face to face, and that's where the truth comes.
Yeah.
But I just can't take it when we have someone that just moved in the neighborhood that said, hey, they're gonna tow everybody's cars. I'm like, no, we're towing cars out of, because people don't know this. Meth is very big in Riverview. We have people going in the cul-de-sac at night using meth. We don't want drug users in our neighborhood. You can forget about the basketball courts and the playground, because they're all gonna move if we let meth heads use our stuff. So that's the bottom line. That's why we're gonna show people.
Just this week where I live, now, think of, there, at 10 o'clock at night, take the dog out, there's somebody parked in the turnaround of the cul-de-sac. Put their lights off, smoke coming out, whatever. It happens 2-3 times a week.
We can't have.
And they're not residents, and they know it's a place they can hide, and they just pull it in there and think nobody's gonna do anything about it.
So again, when you look at CIP, you're going to see a lot of items that focus on security. And those are very important to us because, again, the quality of life is something that we need to continue to invest in. All right, so moving forward.
Is there some way to turn off the daily notifications of towing on my app, please?
We can stop it.
Please stop mine. I know it's you. You're just doing it to me.
No, it goes to everybody, every day.
Please stop.
We can stop daily. We just want to make sure.
Yeah, I get zero.
There's not a supervisor here.
Lisa, stop parking at the cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this notification's making me.
All right. Moving forward, we've got strategic planning. Marlon?
No, you got one. Not fast enough. Oh, yeah. So everybody take one page, pass it on to the next person. I just diagnosed them.
Somebody's gonna have to go to this.
And I emailed Dave.
Yeah.
I I just emailed you a copy of something I just physically handed out, a PDF
Wow.
of it.
Yeah, I'll look at it. Stand by. Go ahead.
All right.
Okay, so this will be something that, are you gonna
Yes, I'm
present?
gonna give a little preamble here. So an update to the CIP planning process. As a reminder, at our last meeting, we agreed to focus on a 5-year planning horizon, starting in fiscal year 2023 and going through fiscal year 2027. You can't do anything with fiscal year 2022. That's the 5 years, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we're working on an analysis to determine what would be the level of assessment that would be required in order to complete the capital projects that we deem necessary within that time period. In addition, if we choose to go the route of securing external financing, then we'll have the numbers to plug into that exercise as we consider different amounts, durations, rates, et cetera, in combination with our existing and/or modified assessments. So there are 3 components of the analysis. First, a projection of how much the operating expenses are expected to rise through fiscal year 2027 based on the historical trends updated by current circumstances. 2, a calculation of the funds that will be raised based on different assessment levels if we were to increase the annual assessment for residential and commercial properties. And 3, a listing of the CIP projects that we collectively have deemed to be priorities through fiscal year 2027. Excuse me. On a line-by-line basis, through fiscal year 2027, using the 10-year CIP plan, plus, it's updated by the new circumstances since that plan was created, any additions, deletions, changes, and the relative priorities that we feel are necessary. So once we have all 3 of these components, then we'll be in a position to look at the different scenarios, taking the amount of funds raised, subtracting the projected total operating expenses, and seeing what is left over for CIP projects, and seeing what the assessment level would need to be in order to have enough to do what we collectively plan to do. So where we are today is, on the first, Mark and Adriana have put together a projection of operating expenses through fiscal year 2027 on a line-by-line basis, which are then added together to calculate the overall projected operating expenses that we'll have for that time period. 2, I created a spreadsheet which first calculates the funds that we raised to different hypothetical assessment levels, and then subtracts the projected operating expenses for each fiscal year through fiscal year 2027. Note that that increases every year, which results in the amount of funds left over to be spent on CIP. And again, this is if we're talking the assessment fund. Each of us is, number 3, each of us has individually indicated what we feel should be the priorities for the CIP projects through fiscal year 2027. And those individual priorities need to be reconciled, aggregated, put together, hashed out, in order to define the collectively defined consensus for the complete list of projects and timing. So the spreadsheet that I gave to you, and I don't have the overhead, but when we do the workshop, this spreadsheet, if you look at it, I gave you that. We can see the projected amount for CIP projects through fiscal year 23 through fiscal year 27 for different assessment levels. And so we can all see what the total amounts that we would have each year for whatever projects we want to do each year. Sat down with Mark and Adriana earlier today to walk it through, but just to kind of talk you through this. So if you look, you see on the left, the first columns are probably the most familiar because we look at the budgets each year, that green column there. You see the current numbers, 40 townhomes, 785 single family homes, commercial properties. You see the assessment levels currently, the total amount that we collect, subtract the tax collector commissions, the tax payment amount, and you have the general fund total amount there. So that's for the current year. Then you see in yellow for different assessment levels, basically using the same formulaic generation process, what the assessment levels would be, and then basically doing the same math all the way down for the general fund assessment gross, subtracting the commissions and the discount and the amount that's totally available. And then we take what Mark did, what Adriana did, with operating expenses for each fiscal year 23, 24, 25, 26, and 27, and subtract that from the funds that are available each year. And then, so the numbers you see in bold are the actual amounts that you would have in each of the corresponding fiscal years to spend on the projects that we deem necessary. So as you look at your spreadsheets, if you fill that individually, so you look at the total number at the bottom, those numbers basically have to fit within those bold numbers that you're looking at here. All right, when you're talking about assessment levels. And that's basically what you're looking at there. So at this point, that's what we have. And the next step is for each of us to, between now and the 16th, review these different funding levels, look at the relative prioritizations of projects that we've each individually done, and then at our CIP workshop, be prepared to discuss and collectively make a decision on the finalized list of projects that we wish to do through fiscal year 2027, seeing the assessment level impact that doing those projects would entail. And we'll need to arrive at a consensus, because obviously each of us has something different now. Sabrina, as chair, I'm guessing that you have the primary responsibility for facilitating our actual discussion and driving us to consensus. I can obviously support 100%, in terms of recalculating the figures as needed for the group as we start to make, tweaks, et cetera, during the discussion. So I'll have hopefully that overhead working, and we'll be able to actually have the spreadsheet and do that. You don't have the spreadsheet in front of you, but I actually have the ability to do what if analysis as well. So if we talk about an assessment, well, what if it's in between these two numbers? I can just plug in the number and just recalculate the numbers on the fly.
And just to let me assure our residents, we're not looking at, let's choose an assessment and then make all the costs fit. We're looking at what needs do we have to cover, and will the assessment need to be adjusted? So it's too easy just to grab a number and say, well, let's make that our new assessment, but that's not the process we're going through at all. We're doing what are the needs and how do we fund those needs? Yes, sir.
Do you use the chair people and supervisors and so forth make that decision, or does that become a vote of the
We make the decision as elected
for
officials.
the CDD?
Yes. Okay.
All right.
With input.
With input, absolutely.
Obviously the expectation is we'll all participate from our relative perspectives as needed. So that's basically a summarization of where we are with the next steps. So is that any questions?
So
I have a question on 16. When we're looking at the assessment and all the stuff that we've all been going over and over and over, struggling with what needs to be pushed back there. They bring up the point where maybe a lot of residents are probably going to ask, what if we borrow money again at the little, are we going to have all that information?
Yes,
To
yes.
see,
That'll be part of the conversation.
because if you borrow so much, you make so much payment, and you raise here, which I don't think anybody wants to raise it very high, but I want to see how it plays out.
That was what I meant. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So basically what the homework is between now and the 16th is, hopefully you'll get an updated copy of mine. We can't get the right one out. Synthesize what your fellow board members have recommended on the spreadsheet. And we need to go through this with pen in hand and either delete what you feel is unnecessary, reduce what can be reduced, and or spread out, because those totals, when we get to those last pages where we have the total for CIP expenditures, that brings us back to Marlon's scenarios here.
So we
That's
have
these are our budgets, and we will hammer through those things. But between now and then, let's get as much of the work done as we can. So when we're meeting on the 16th, we're just plugging in numbers that we have come together and we can agree on. Does that make sense?
So like if I had put the backboard in, I would have been just over 300,000, which I had tried to do. But also, like, I asked, can we lease a copier instead of buying one out? And
Those are all questions we need to ask. Absolutely.
yeah, so are we gonna have all that data at the 16th? I don't think so.
We're not going to have everything.
Yeah, but we could so.
But we've talked about some things, getting rid of the facility monitor car and go to mileage. That there's some things, we've got a golf cart we can sell. We've got, there are lots of moving parts, but we also know that the budget is just a framework and things happen. So there's always going to have a need for some flexibility. All right, so we'll come back on the 16th with much more information.
Well, do we actually have to have a motion? I'd like, if everybody's cool with that, I mean, I think we still have to put out the public notice for that.
Well,
So if we're for the meeting on the 16th.
we've already done that.
No.
Nope.
No.
Because it wasn't finalized with Rob, obviously, in case somebody was available.
Oh.
And because we weren't sure if we were gonna have all of the numbers and everything before I paid for the legal ad.
Okay.
It's like $250.
Okay, I thought we'd already done it. Okay, all right, we need a motion for the
Okay,
meeting.
so I just want to make sure everybody's comfortable with where we're at and where we're going. So if we are, then yes, I'd like to make a motion for Adriana to actually put out the legal notice for public meeting held.
He's the head of that committee, he can't make that vote.
I'll make the motion that we put out the legal notice
Legal's one place.
Thank you.
for the.
No, I do appreciate it. Thank you.
For the 16th for the strategic planning CIP workshop.
Okay, a second. Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Comments from the outside,
Yes.
that's a discussion day. Is that the day that you making decisions?
We're going to get pretty far along the process.
Yes,
Yes,
we've been reviewing this spreadsheet for
months.
each of us for months, but now for the past couple of years, where you all had to go through it again.
But is that gonna, that's not gonna determine whether you're raising assessments or not. When is that discussion? And
That's
will
on
there
the
be a public?
16th, and that's-
It will be, yeah.
That is for 5 years.
There will be public meetings for that, but there is a year-long process for us to be able to get that in place for the new year.
So that's not the secret.
Right, no,
So
there's
it
talking
would be
about
a
what
year.
projects you're funding.
Right. Gotcha.
So
But that will
But you're
probably,
talking,
Like the basketball thing, I mean,
the
the
tennis.
tennis thing just moved way up with all the people.
Yes.
Is this?
That's a good.
That's good.
But see, what's hard is there's like a $60,000 chunk, so if you move it, great, but then you're not doing it.
As much as I'm on board for a tennis backboard, I can be honest with you, if you got 25 people using it and you got 400 people using the trail, that's a priority. So I get why you guys are saying that.
Oh, I know you
I thought I was getting them out.
Well, and that's, to be honest, and I'm sorry they left, the folks with the dock, they had a bad experience. They got stuck out on the lake. They had to get rescued by the sheriff.
Word spread.
That's the only boat in this whole community.
I mean, we have a canoe, so we would,
That's.
And it's not that it wasn't a scary situation, but for us to make a decision to build a brand new boat launch for the one boat that got into trouble once.
Jeremy?
Yes.
I can give some background on this in about 30 seconds. That was a rudimentary. It's not a boat launch. It's not a ramp to get a 20-foot boat into the lake. It is a canoe or kayak place to fall in. That's about it.
it was made with seashells.
Yeah.
Back when the box
Yeah,
was on board.
And there's certainly things we can do to improve it, but those are the kinds of push-pull issues that we have that everybody
Also,
has
we
their
have a
hot
policy,
buttons.
I don't know if everybody knows this, but there's no motor boats allowed on the lake, so it's only
Electric motors.
electric motors, no gas powered motors
Right.
allowed.
Laura, back on your report, could you give us, we don't have the spreadsheet, could you give us by year 23 through 27? What's left over after pulling in?
That's this spreadsheet, yeah.
I know, we don't have it.
But we should at every meeting at this point.
Well, you will.
Well, this is actually something that will be distributed at the November meeting, which is when we'll make it public.
First, you need rules and per rules of order, it should come to the people that are in the meeting to get the same thing. You guys get
Right.
it every meeting. We did not get that
Oh.
form, so we can't understand what's being talked about. Now, we have a whole bunch of projected.
Yeah,
The projected,
it was supposed to be on the projector, unfortunately. It didn't work.
but it's not, so we need that.
So can
Okay,
you
he's
post
gonna
it
make
on
copies.
the website or something? Is it-
Louis is about to make copies.
Got it.
Marla, could you just give us a number of what's left over for CIP for the years 23 through 27?
There were actually multiple assessment levels and
No, based upon current assessment.
That would be on the
Just the
CIP. Okay, for fiscal year, hang on, guys. For CIP for fiscal year 2022, we would have. Let me get the right thing. 205, 682, $205,682
In 2022.
for 2022.
What about 23, 24, 20?
Okay, 23, and again, that's,
Yeah, it's just projected.
everything is getting moved, so it's, I can give you numbers, but they're not valid. 23 be 200,000, 24, 195,000, 25, 190,000. So as O&M increases, CIP decreases.
So as you can see, those numbers that you just gave us, and none of them all added together will be able to have enough money to fix the trail.
Right.
Unless it's a micro project.
And when we look at what we have budgeted, where we would have 205 available, we've already budgeted 266 for next year. So we're already over budget $60,000. In fiscal year 23, we have 200,000, but we are hoping for $380,000 worth of expenditure. So we're 180 over budget. So you can see, we don't have the money to do what everybody wants to have done. So it's a matter of distributing those projects. Maybe they don't happen next year, they happen the year after or the year after. And that's what's been going on during the time we were paying for the bond, because there was no CIP money, so it was all getting pushed out to that point when the bond was paid. Okay, so.
To give you some sense, we've been spending about $300,000 a year typically in the last, since about 2007.
Right, since the bond's been gone.
Right.
We've been
But we're
kind
not
of spending what we have.
Contracts going up and everything is now we're down to 200.
And really, my only concern with this is that we might need to raise the assessment. That doesn't concern me, because $100 or $200, it would concern her more than it would concern me, but when I look forward, I'm sitting back saying, you know, part of the reason why our lawn care wasn't done correctly was because of what we went through in the last 2 years and shortage of employees. That's why that guy had a hard time standing up there, you know, being able to do what you want to do. And going forward, materials and costs have gone up in the short term. They're out in the ocean. So basically, we're paying more for that stuff. But now is a unprecedented time of business loan rates from 0.5 to 3. If we don't take advantage of that, then we're not taking maximum ability of our financial responsibility as a fiduciary. So my concern for all of us is, I don't just want to raise to spend the current cash we have, because that's the way we've been doing it for the last 3 or 4
Now, we
years.
realize that probably escalation of costs of goods and services and labor. We know that the minimum wage is going up $1 for the next 4 or 5 years.
Correct, but
We think that it's probably going to be cheaper to borrow than hedge our bets with what things will cost.
But what I'm saying, Robert, this was not a hammer. This was just, and anybody that's got a finance background can get on board with it. If we take the escalation of cost of materials out by taking the de-escalation of interest in, we can level it out and still move along pretty nice.
Do you know where we can borrow cheap money?
How many bankers do you want?
You're still going to have to pay them for that one.
How many bankers do you want me to refer you to? I mean, there are tons of banks out there with what you've got in revenue that lend money.
We have to follow
We
this.
want the lowest rate.
Right. Exactly.
Dave, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I mean, I understand what Rich is saying. It's very interesting, and we do have to take advantage of that. But we still have to pay when that loan comes in. We still have to pay for it.
Great, but that's out of your CPP funds that you now have extended it to 10 years versus trying to pay for it in the next 2 years in it being a $500,000 project is all I'm saying. So when you have your big project like that, you can take it out over 10 years and only use a portion of your CIP to do it. And then you've got money to do your other projects and to take on your increased management expenses. I mean, I'm just giving an opinion.
Yeah, it is.
We're with you.
We're with you. All right, so I think we're done with this. Move forward.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Great. Thank you. All right, now, given our Robert's Rules expert, we need someone to make motions. There'll be 2 motions made on the appointment of board office positions and subcommittee appointments. So if I can have a motion for number 10A.
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
Can I do it?
you're allowed. I'm not, you are.
Ask Don if I can, but yeah, I make a motion to nominate Rob Fannin as the chairman, myself as a vice chairman, Supervisor Virginia Giannakos as the secretary treasurer.
Jenny seconds.
Well, no,
Wait, okay, I'll second for discussion.
I have some family challenges going on right now, and I'm not sure I can take on more than just supervise now.
Okay, so Ginny is pulling out of the race here. Do we have someone else that can serve as?
I'll be at the meetings, but I don't know if I.
I'm gonna remove my motion. I rescind my motion, and if Rob wants to make another,
Okay,
what's his thoughts?
I will serve as secretary treasurer if someone wants to make a motion to.
I'll make a motion. Supervisor Rob Fannin as chairman, myself as vice chairman, and the amazing Sabrina Peacock as our secretary treasurer.
Do I have a second?
Second,
Okay, any discussion?
thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I guess.
We all get to share this seat.
Aye.
All right, okay, we need a motion on 10B, big committee chairs. Let's substitute me for chair of the Treasurer Review Committee.
So I'll make the motion that the committee chairs are Rob Fannin for management, Dave Nelson for security grounds, Sabrina for the treasurer's committee, Marlon for the strategic planning.
A second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, that passes. Thank you, guys. And thank you for willingness to serve.
And-
Committee,
What?
subcommittee tonight?
Yes.
Oh, did we do that here? Or oh, yeah. Okay, so the committees need to determine the date and times. Rob, for your management committee,
I'd like to keep the same one if I can. Is it possible?
third Thursday?
Wednesday at noon?
Oh, yours was third Wednesday,
Yes, ma'am.
Wednesday at noon. Okay, security grounds, when do you want to have your meeting, Dave?
Can't be Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So what do you want, Mark?
Thursday.
Thursday it is.
Third Thursday?
What time?
What time of day?
What time, Dave?
4:00.
What?
4.
4, okay.
p.m.
Okay,
That's just in case I have to start going to work at McDill.
That's fine.
okay. Marlon, I have to come back to mine. Marlon, when is your committee?
Same Tuesdays at 10 or 11, I can't remember. I just wanted to say this.
Do you know what his?
It like.
Strategic.
Mhm.
Strategic's been Tuesday at 10. But
10?
Tuesday.
Come on.
I know.
Is that the third?
It's on your phone.
Here, it's on my phone.
The third-
We can do Thursday at 10.
No, you want to keep
Wait,
the
wait.
same.
We're talking strategic?
Wait.
Tuesday.
Tuesday, 10 o'clock.
Keep it the same.
Third, is that the third Tuesday? Okay, I can no longer do third Thursdays. So I can do, and I can't do Wednesdays. So I can do third Tuesday. How much time do you need for your committee meeting? 1 hour. I can do 11. Okay, third Tuesday, 11. Sounds good. Okay, so we're all set. Do we need motions for those?
No.
Okay. I don't think I have any chair comments. Property manager updates.
Before we go, I just want to congratulate Sabrina for being a great chairman. We went through a lot during that time period, and I know that I know that everybody else on that board shares the sentiment, and the staff share that with me. So I just want to congratulate you for you and your better half, Terry, too. So
Yes,
but
it's a
thank you. Thank you.
Well, and to all the board, you know, we fight hard for you guys and we love what we do. So I think it's a very dedicated group and we're proud to serve this community. All right. Mark.
We have a resident who has won a military makeover, and they're going to be filming the show in this neighborhood.
Oh my gosh, how cool is that?
And so we'll be making an announcement because they want the whole neighborhood to come out for the reveal, like the big crowd. So I'm not gonna say where or when because we don't want to disturb them, but they have some requests up for it. And that is, they are planning on being here for 2 weeks in February. They need the space in Paxton that's vacant that we were considering selling, you know, behind the brick wall. They would like to use that space for food service and porta potties and things like that. They've assured us that the grass is trampled and it looks like the state fair's been there, that they would replace it. Although February is kind of not a great time to be replacing grass. There might need to be an agreement that is signed. Yeah. And they would like, they're gonna use the makeup RV is gonna be at this point in an adjacent homeowner's driveway.
Okay.
Because they don't want to travel too far from makeup to.
So they're making that arrangement with the neighbor.
Correct.
And
as
they're
far as I know,
securing,
that's happening.
and they're securing HOA approval for these. Somebody is.
Yes, they know that. Well, they were told that if they're changing colors, that we have to serve the color standards.
But they can't even park the
I think
trailer
they can.
RV.
I think the HOA is giving them an exception.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we're following the rules.
And here's the biggie. They need to park an RV with 110 power in the clubhouse, and then they need parking spaces for those 2 weeks for about 20 crew members and other things. Which, if you look at this little drawing, that takes up about half of our parking spaces in the parking lot.
That shouldn't be a
Not
problem.
February.
This time of year, we're not packed out. I guess my only comment is on that parcel of land on Paxton, I want them to be as skewed as far away from that resident as possible.
Both sides of it, yeah.
But it, you know, kind of goes down to the point, but right up against that neighbor, I don't think that would be cool.
Now, maybe we can get a plan from them.
Yes,
But they're
particularly with the porta potties, like, you know, and it's
So,
just 2 weeks, right?
just 2 weeks, yeah, first 2 weeks of February. Do you want me to tell them conditional approval up on submitting a plan for portlets and signing an agreement for restoration and stuff?
I've got a couple questions.
Yes, Dave.
Yeah, I heard Mark say 110. First of all, I'm a military, ex-military guy, and I support any kind of things that help the veterans. Let's just get that straight. But I also have a responsibility to take care of the residents that live here. And he said something about 110 power. What does that mean exactly, Mark, for the RV?
For power for the RV.
Did you hear that?
What did he say?
He's plugging into our power outside the clubhouse for the RV. In the parking lot.
So they're plugging into our power.
So they can set the cost.
Okay.
I mean, they could bring a generator if we don't want to provide power for them. That's certainly an option. It's up to you guys.
Do they offer to reimburse the additional cost of electricity?
I don't know how we need to.
I think I'm an RV guy. I think it would be a lot smarter and safer for them to plug in a generator because there's no other homes that are close by there. I don't think it would make that much noise if they get a quiet one, or otherwise they should pay us, reimburse us for the money it costs for run a generator. And we need to make sure that if we're running a cord that it's safe, that nobody falls over it going into the clubhouse.
Yes.
So the porta potties that we had out here, when the bathrooms were being done, weren't those plugged in? And what was that power?
It was through this hallway.
I mean, what was that?
Well, we were paying for it because it was for
I was
us.
wondering, like, because you could, like, whatever that.
What was the cost difference?
Thank you, what it took to run, and what, like, I don't know what power level, I'm not a electrical
Very
stuff.
smart.
But the power level that it took to run that porta potty thing, like, is it comparable to this RV?
We
And what
wouldn't
was
be,
it?
we wouldn't be able to isolate that cost because it's in with this building of the pool and. building.
Yeah, but see, you know what it takes.
You had
You know what
this
it-
cost before you
Thank
put
you.
the power in. And then when you put the power in for the maintenance you were having done,
There'd
how
be a
much
buffer.
up did it go, or was it pretty close to the same?
Well,
The
Because
bathrooms
that-
came online,
that-
that's a skew, we can't
But
isolate.
even then, that.
I'll try to, we won't know because that didn't get used down there. We only had to have it because the
It
pool.
got used, we used, my family used it.
But I'm saying
And
it
it was
doesn't
running-
get used like those big trailers.
They're not-
When you see
But it
these
still
big
has
set
to run.
trailers come out there, they're big.
They're using
But it-
porta potties, not power. It won't be like this.
Okay.
No, that was, I'm saying that was plugged in. So, like, what?
But you're comparing a restroom, two restroom stalls to a whole RV.
I don't know the difference, I'm not a technical.
Well, guys, okay, hey,
If
okay.
that was.
Leah, okay.
If that was half the power that it's.
Stop it,
Oh,
please. Okay, this is something that we're gonna talk to the makeover people. We're gonna figure out the cost. If they're going to use a generator, I don't want anything run at night. So it has to be something that would only be during the day so that it's not disturbing anyone, even those near the clubhouse. Okay, so I think we have some questions. If they decide the 110 is a better option, if we can find a dollar amount that would seem appropriate for that time and ask for compensation so that the community is not paying for that. Okay, all right. Okay, so they're going to come back with more information. But I don't think the parking situation is a problem if basically they're using half the lot for 2 weeks.
And if they could stay to the far end.
Yeah.
And so that the residents-
But I'm sure they'll probably be on one side or the other, so.
It's gonna take us like.
I think that it's probably, I mean, it's smart for us to do it to make sure that they compensate us for it, but I don't think that's in any way would be a showstopper for them to do. It's only fair if we're gonna let them use half of our parking lot, and then we fully support, the military makeover for our veterans. So it's a minor detail that we just need to clear up.
And also, no one will be smoking dope over on that side while the RV is parked.
True.
2 week reprieve from our dope smoker.
When you say by day, it's dark in February, it's dark at 5 o'clock. So is there a time we want to set for?
I just think that folks who live nearby would probably appreciate not having the generator going on in the evening hours.
Are they gonna be
5,
living in this
6?
RV?
Probably so, probably.
Oh, are they?
Then maybe they can't.
Oh, it's not just during the day?
I don't know.
Let's get more information. Okay.
They're gonna be here all night. You guys, these shows come in and they do it real fast. They're going to be living in these things and stuff.
Okay, well, then I guess we just need information because I would not be happy about a generator.
Maybe they're.
They're gonna be running a constant.
Yeah, they're gonna be working on the so like big lights outside. and
Okay.
outside, Big lights inside.
I'm sorry.
Inside, they work on
Sure,
the inside.
sure. Yeah, okay, we'll see if they want to come to a meeting. Okay,
They're
give
not
us,
local, but we can find out.
all right, or they can Zoom.
Yeah.
Okay, Mark. Any more on that?
No, that's it. Per your request, you kind of have a park design that shows the parking on the north end of the park. It's basically an identical layout. It has the, circle in the middle. It's generating about the same number of spaces. But you can see that it goes, the red circle is the existing pavement. So it goes in much deeper and much closer to the basketball courts, and it affects all of those trees that are in that area. But that's for general information. You can see the layout. You can see that the fencing, we have a sidewalk that goes around the front of the parking. And then the fencing is as planned, it goes around the outside and up across. And connects the tennis courts with one pedestrian access. So when you exit your car, you're going forward to the sidewalk to the entrance gate versus walking behind your car in the travel lanes.
Okay, so we are seeing,
It's hard to see because some of the lines that
Yeah,
I
this-
printed in color and
so
So
it's kind
the
of
red line is what's currently there.
the Waterton side.
on the north end, the red circle is the current asphalt.
And the fencing is coming from Ginny's house
Number
and,
three, yep, and it's the outermost line, all the way around, it goes up along to the, where we had planned before, the house, side of the house,
okay,
right at the very top of the page.
okay. And then on the other side, the same thing from the first neighbor by the parking to the tennis
It's the black
courts.
line with the rest.
And then do we have something from the other corner of the tennis court to
Yeah,
lot
that's on there,
31?
but
Yeah, okay,
that's not changed from what we.
okay. Do we have new costs?
We do not yet.
Okay, will we by the 16th?
I probably, because we have the fence design, we have that spec out, I can contact that contractor. I could probably get a linear footage. And get a rough.
Okay, if we can do that, because I think that's an important part of the CIP conversation, as well as an estimate on that parking on the Waterton side.
That's a little more complicated.
It's a little more
That's a
complicated.
lot more complicated, yeah. There's grading issues there, drainage issues.
Would we do the fencing with this design and expect to do the parking sometime down the road then?
Well, that's what we don't know, because it was mentioned possibly putting in the base and then paving it later.
Improve it later?
Yeah.
Okay,
For temporary, immediate temporary parking, you know, it would just compact the base, it would be probably crushed concrete, which is a great base. Using it compacts it even further.
okay, well, I just want us to be cognizant of how this might impact our CIP plan.
Well, that's not really in for this year. That's
No.
what we have to figure out.
But if we do the fencing with that as part of the plan.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, any other comments or questions on that? Thank you, Mark.
I think that's it. Other than, do you want to bring up whether we want to vote about the landscape contractor?
I have a question.
Yes, Dave.
So the fence, I know we had a talk about the drug dealers. Does the fence in any way stop people from parking in on private property?
No.
Okay. Just
For non-residents, but it does not prevent parking in the area.
Right.
all right. Just ask the question.
So we continue to rely on the facility monitor to be looking for decals and our towing company for the after-hour suites.
Okay.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, Lee.
But all the streets are public, so.
No, they're not.
No, the cul-de-sac.
The cul-de-sac.
Yeah, the cul-de-sac, once the sidewalk ends, like once the curbing ends,
Yes.
is not. So why are we spending all this money on a fence to stop people from parking in circle when they can back up 5 feet and park in front of a house?
It's not to keep them from parking, it's to keep them from accessing the park itself.
It's not for any parking.
But you guys were all just talking about sitting in your car and smoking pot.
That's out here.
And well, it's also a water thing, but it won't stop.
It won't
at
stop
one
that.
thing.
What can stop people from, I mean, there's,
We're not crossing any roads.
yeah, I mean, so you're just making it so that people can't access the car.
What they do
Why
is
don't you
they,
just put a gate reader on the thing instead of on the fence part? Gate, like a card reader.
Well, we are going to
Instead of
put,
spending all this money on a fence, people are just gonna climb it or walk over it,
okay,
walk around it. or-
that's fine. Okay, Leah, that's enough. Okay. So we'll
I'm
be,
allowed to talk. I'm a resident.
you have
here,
3
and I
minutes.
pay.
You
I
have,
haven't used my free. Every issue I brought up has been different. So it's not a cumulative free. It's a different issue.
okay, we've
So
heard,
I can talk about my shoes or hair, whatever, for 3 minutes.
no, you
So
cannot.
I'm talking about money that everybody in here pays. So
And that's
that's a lot of money on a fence that really isn't gonna do a lot.
Okay, well, we appreciate your input. Thank you for that. Okay, Mark, do you have anything else?
no, other than what you, if you want to discuss continuing
Oh,
services with ASI or not.
ASI versus Mainscape, do we want to talk about that today? We need a 30-day.
I did Mainscape come back to you and
No cost to transfer.
so the things were brought up to speed that we could transfer to Mainscape.
Okay, I need to take a quick minute. I need to make a motion to add 10 more minutes to the meeting.
Motion to, second.
What?
Jeannie, could you do it?
Yes.
In the meeting?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor, aye,
Aye.
opposed? Okay, thank you. So we've got 10 more minutes. I'm sorry, Rob. Jenny,
I was asking about Mainscape, and I felt more comfortable with their communication and their training of their employees. And I realize that Mr. whatever his name is, Joe, brought things up to speed, but only with the threat of losing the business. And I feel a little concerned that we're going to run into the same issue. So my recommendation would be to go to the other company, but I'm open to, I'll make a motion to discuss it.
did we get a final proposal from them on cost?
It's the exact same.
It's exactly the same as what we're paying.
Cost of transfer, pick up the contract,
ASI.
everything up to speed.
I'm ready to make a motion as well.
I will say this, I don't believe he addressed supervision
You don't
of
think
his
he did
staff
either?
in the
That's why I
answer.
asked.
We still have crooked hedges. We can't turn the hedge straight to save ourselves. So
Okay, Dave,
I'm not sure that's gonna be overcome.
Yeah.
Dave,
I mean, can we make motions?
okay.
I motion that we continue with ASI and give them the opportunity to fix the $7,000 of potential problems that, you know, we would have to pay anyway.
It's been fixed. It's been remedied.
There's no cost of transfer.
Dave, oh, okay.
So I make a motion, we move.
Wait, stop. We need a second for this.
No,
before we
I'll
discuss.
second it.
Okay, discussion. Those shortcomings have been remedied, and there would be no cost from Mainscape to take over the contract.
As I said, my motion is to continue with ASI.
Have a second?
I second it.
Okay, Rob, second discussion?
Yes. Well, I talked to Mark Monday about this. We're talking about another company that's came in and gave us the price that we were asking to do the money, and now we're talking about money again. And I know the other company came in higher, now they've met their agreements. If we put in the mulch and everything down the road, it's gonna go up, right?
Next year.
Yeah, it's gonna go up drastically, so let me know.
Yeah.
I think ASI is going to give us a better deal, but it's what you want to give and take. Do we pay more money to get the highest, or are we gonna stay at a certain level?
We can reissue an RFP next year.
So we only have to keep them for one more year?
I honestly, I would like to finish out the year with ASI. This is a discussion. This is my opinion. And go and put it out again to more companies to see.
And start fresh.
And because we took on the sprinklers, the mulching and everything, and Mark and I discussed it. It's just too much on us, and we spent almost the exact same money that we would have spent with a company. And when we're all trying to sit in our meetings and cut costs and everything else, I'm like, why didn't we just include all of this? And I think if we put out another RFP, we could get more companies in here and see firsthand.
Just let me clarify. Dave, are you saying we finish out the contract for a year?
Yes, I just want to go ahead. My motion was to continue with ASI.
All right, how long is that
I'm sorry?
contract for? Mark,
Okay, do you want to amend it for a year? Or do you want to talk?
I'll amend it for a year to fulfill the contract for the year.
Okay, Rob, what were you saying?
I was saying to the end of this year and then start over.
Okay, so do we want to just do 2 more months, or are we doing
Yeah, that's what I'm
14
saying,
months?
until January, then we sit down after.
I'd
Well,
like to
we're
ask,
in a contract with them, so we would have.
I was thinking the end of the year,
We'd have
end of
to still-
fiscal year next, which would be September.
Separate that
Okay,
probably
to
appropriately.
September 30th, is that what our contract here?
October 1st.
October
September
1st.
30th
Okay,
Each year.
so do you want to amend the motion to stay with ASI until October 1st, 2022?
Yes, that's my motion.
I'll second it.
Okay,
Just to clarify, and I know it's just a day, but is the current expiration September 30th or October 1st?
September 30th.
Okay, so.
Okay,
is the
well-
motion-
2023. We have a 3-year contract, but we've only, this is the second year.
Right, they just
So we
want to
have
do it
one
for
more
one
year.
more fiscal year, so it'll be
And that's
September
what we
30th of 22.
Okay.
So I have a question for
But
Mark.
that breaks the contract. If there's a year after that, we're in the second.
So why are we even talking about Mainscape if we are under a 3-year contract that we?
Because we can get out of it.
We can still, right, we can
We
still.
get out for any
Okay,
reason.
well-
And I don't have confidence that we're not gonna be in this situation again,
Okay,
frankly.
so,
And I'm not being a property manager. So
I'm
you're gonna
sorry?
get what
That was
you
my
get.
question, what's this feedback, which one does he recommend?
That's why I
I
was,
recommend changing.
that's why I was making the motion on
Because it was
Mainscape.
an epic fail, with no communication. The owner was not aware of what was going on, it was being kept from him by his employees. And I don't know if you looked around, but they can't turn their head straight.
It's crap everywhere. Even the fixes they've done, it's still crap.
I got pictures today from a resident who sat right there on the north end of the lake where nothing had been mediated around the picnic table, around exercise equipment, still today.
I know I'm only a resident and not part of the committee, but I recommend we take his recommendation and make the change. They're not fixing it, and it still looks like crap everywhere I've been.
okay,
I
so,
walk around
We
here.
get great service the
So
first
there's
year
a motion
anybody's
on
in
the
here.
table.
They really are.
okay, guys, we've got a motion on the table to stay with ASI until September 30th, 2022. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, Marlon?
That's the one motion on the table.
Yes.
You
That-
you did not make a motion.
Dave made it, he seconded.
Okay, so all in favor? Aye. Got 2 ayes. Opposed? Nay. Is that a nay? Okay, so the motion does not pass. So we,
Mark, if we go with Mainscape, do we have to sign a 3-year contract,
No,
a 1 year?
Yeah.
I make a motion that we let Mainscape show us what they can do for a 1-year contract at the same price that ASI was gonna charge,
do we need to give ASI a 30-day notice?
we do.
with the 30-day notice to ASI.
Can we say January 1st?
That's
Yeah.
not beginning January 1st.
Does that make sense? I mean, it wouldn't be a year contract then.
Right,
Right.
it'd be 10 months, 9 months,
Can we get a second?
it'd be 9 months.
Okay, does that,
Second on her motion.
I just clarified it.
I'll second it.
okay, so can you read the motion to me? Because I didn't hear it.
The motion was to accept Mainscape's contract and give ASI their 30-day notice. And then we did make it clear if we're going to start January or
Well,
30 days.
if you
will
give them
be-
30 days notice,
Will be December 2nd.
it's December, so whatever however you all want to do it, but
Whatever that date is.
yeah, whatever the date is, because you don't want to leave it uncared for a month.
At the same time.
Are we open for discussion now? Is that what it was? There was a second for discussion?
Open for discussion.
Okay. So, Mainscape came in and they said one thing where they talked to you first, they said something, then they came to the meeting and said something totally different. It wasn't what we were expecting from what I heard. So now we know what ASI has done wrong, right? And so when you do something wrong, it can't immediately be fixed. The owner came in and talked to us today and said he wasn't. So he was going to fix it, what he said he was going to do, and we were going to be the one of the communities that they focus on specifically, right? Isn't that what I heard? Okay. So we're going to get somebody. They wanted more money before, but now they lowered it down to the same thing as ASI is charging, but after a year, that's going to drastically increase. Is that correct?
Yeah, but I have a question for you.
That's my question. That was my question. So yes, it is. So how much is it going to go up?
Next year,
Yes.
probably significantly is what we anticipate.
I thought they had a 5%.
Well, do you think they're gonna come in and do that? At 5%? Next year, there's no percent increase. 5% is already being absorbed. So they're projected to come in next year at no increase in cost and perform the same services that they couldn't get done this year. I don't think that's realistic. I think that they'll come back and ask for more money. They'll have to. The cost of goods and services.
They can't until the contract is done.
Well, or they can, What are we gonna get if we pinch it down to where it's not profitable?
Well, on our meeting minutes from Mainscape, they have that they would have preferred a long-term agreement with a 3% standard escalation per year. The increase can be discussed if it's actually necessary. So they did tell us 3%.
Okay.
That was in the first 3% and 2%, right? For this 3-year term, and none for the third year.
And then
I think
what's
they
AS,
kept that 3% per year.
what's ASI's escalation?
That is those guys.
No, we're talking about Mainscape.
We haven't talked beyond the year. Other than what we expected the property should be, which is what we put in.
Last year, the Mainscape at the meeting they had here said it was, could be 3% or less. They would talk about it
Right.
every year.
Well, they actually audit.
They reanalyze and work on the program.
They actually audit their services. It's enough that they audit
Yes.
everything that they do, every chemical, and they determine their profit margin, as any good company should do. We don't get cheap.
I've seen their work.
I'm gonna need more time.
I can tell you, they're trained very well. You're great with them.
Okay.
They offer
Guys.
conservation areas.
Okay.
We hear you, David.
I'm not done, but so I want to say, I know that I asked the question, are there any other communities that we have checked that they gave reference and how did they do with their, in our local area?
The Ridge, Watergrass, he said, I work in that community, they do good work, I mean, I don't live there, but I see them there. They have top of the line equipment, they have tons of equipment, tons of guys. They mow huge communities and they put signs up, we're mowing this area, and they all work in packs and it's on, we got with the mower and it's going crazy, and this guy has an edger, they complete all, their total house communities, zero maintenance on the house.
Is that Ben right there?
They do great work, they do good work, I don't know them personally, there's
And
a
that's
ton of guys, they have
That's
a ton of
the
guys,
thing.
they're all in uniform, it's not, it doesn't look like a homeowner outfit.
And they put signs out.
They do irrigation checks, all kinds of stuff, signs out, phones out. They work with big.
Thank you, Ben. Like I said, did any of our staff, did they contact any of their references to find out what kind of job they did?
Not that you got from an independent source.
They're right up the road too, and they're local, they're here, they're easy to get to.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. To,
I see that we have a risk either way,
we do.
but we have had a negative experience with this company, and I saw some sophistication maybe that Ben mentioned from this other company where they can analyze, like, if they told Mark, we don't have to water these plants as much as we've been watering them. They're much more sophisticated. So if we can lower our costs at some point, they would be the first company to do that. But, with the 3% escalation, I think that's a cost of living increase for most businesses anyway.
I can tell you there's a safety difference too. And at Joe's mouth, he said they're walking the streets with backpacks on and it's dangerous. Shouldn't be doing that.
Well, and they block the road sometimes. I'm sure other residents.
Well,
have them.
it's probably pretty common with equipment. Okay, so we've got a motion on the table. We've had discussion to give ASI a 30-day notice and go with Mainscape as our new landscaper. All in favor? Aye. 3 ayes opposed?
Opposed.
Okay, so motion passes 3-2. Okay.
Don't
All right,
blame
so-
us.
Hey, what?
Don't blame us.
Well,
We lost 3-2, Dave. They're done.
That's okay. Well, guess what? Manscaped they will be held to account just like everybody else.
hopefully it won't.
I'd really, Chairman.
Okay, I need to get some more time, so I make a motion that I add 10 more, 15 minutes to the clock. Say all opposed or all in favor? Opposed?
That's wrong.
I mean, why I mean, no,
Mr.
I'm supposed to put that
I
on him.
still, Chairman, yeah, I'd like to make a motion that our staff call the references and find out how Mainscape does in other communities.
Okay, do you have a motion on the table?
Is that?
I think
It's kind of a little late.
Well, that's fine. Well,
we can
Okay, we can call, we'll call, but we've already passed the motion. Marlon?
Okay, I was just asking if that's part of
No.
the motion. Okay.
Okay, I rescind my motion. I'd like an action item for them to do that.
Okay. Okay, anything else, Mark? Okay, Adriana?
I have our workers' comp audit coming up, so I've been preparing all of our documents for that. I got our notice. So I will keep you updated on my results.
Okay. That'll be the one claim from this past year.
Yeah. Other than that, that's it. That's it for me. I think I discussed everything.
Anything else from any of the board members?
Yes, as my outgoing chairman, I have an outdoor chairman question. So I'd like to find out how are we doing on reimbursements for our grant projects?
We've received the first for 31,000, and we have submitted a second one, and it is in the process of,
Not quite submitted.
oh, not quite
The
submitted.
agreement to submit it is that.
Okay,
We're-
so we've received the first reimbursement.
Okay, 3, and the total was 31?
Yes,
And we're getting ready to submit the 60.
the 61, getting ready to submit 61,000 for reimbursement.
When will we be able to put money, that $35,000 back into money market?
I estimate the second week of November.
Second week of November. Okay,
Thank you.
All right, to adjourn.
motion to adjourn,
Aye.
second, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you, guys.
Congratulations.
That was a tough one.